Hello everyone, I am Christian Flagstadt, and I hope and pray that you are all having a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I am back here at Sacred Heart Major Seminary in Detroit for another year of formation and getting ready to start classes this week. The readings for this Sunday, the readings for the 23rd Sunday of Ordinary Time, are quite beautiful, they're very practical, and they're very challenging. And they're challenging for us because they enlighten us and give us a clear direction of how we are to handle particular matters. So, for example, in the Gospel today, according to Matthew, we heard Jesus say to his disciples, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have won over your brother." Almost every time that I hear this passage, I always think to myself, I wish I remembered this more often. Because it's so easy, and I think we can all relate, that when we feel like we've been wronged, when someone has sinned against us, or when we're angry with someone, that so often we tend to tell every other person that we know, except the person who has sinned against us. And Jesus is quite clear. He says, if your brother sins against you, first, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. You might not win over your brother, but the big victory is that you went to your brother first. That's a challenge for us, because so often we don't do that. But if we do that, and if we do that prayerfully and out of love, we might see much better fruit. I'd like to give attention, though, to the first reading, which we heard from the prophet Ezekiel. The Lord was quite bold with the prophet. He told him, "If I tell the wicked, O wicked one, you shall surely die, and you do not speak out to dissuade the wicked from his way, the wicked shall die for his guilt, but I will hold you responsible for his death. But if you warn the wicked, trying to turn him from his way, and he refuses to turn from his way, he shall die for his guilt, but you shall save yourself." And so the Lord is telling the prophet, you will save yourself if you try to turn the wicked from his way. In my meditation on this reading, I was reminded of one of the spiritual works of mercy. And the spiritual work of mercy that I am thinking of is to instruct the ignorant. And it's that you and I, as followers of Jesus, as believers of him in the church, we do have the responsibility to instruct those around us who are ignorant. But who are the ignorant? Because for us, the word ignorant can often mean those who are not well-mannered or not respectful. But in this case, we simply mean those who lack particular knowledge of the faith. And so the ignorant means those who have no idea of the gospel at all. Those who need to proclaim the gospel to give meaning and purpose to their lives. But the ignorant can also be those who are new to the faith and beginning in the faith. And they need people to bring them closer to God, to give them knowledge, which will bring them to fuller maturity in the faith. But it can also be those who have rejected the faith and need the knowledge and truths of the church and the faith to bring them back in ways in which they can understand. So the ignorant can be a lot of people. And you and I both know that we have many, many people today in our lives and in our world who are starving for meaning and purpose in their life. And to instruct the ignorant is not simply just to instruct them in ways that they are wicked or wrong, but it truly is to communicate the love of God for them, to give meaning and purpose to their lives. And for you and I to do that might not always be an intellectual conversation, but it needs to be a witness of our life. That if we want to give Christ's love and give Christ's peace to others, it has to radiate from us. It has to come from within. Now there will be times, and there can be times, where we are called to share the knowledge of the truths of the faith. And sometimes we might feel intimidated or not want to do that, thinking that we might not know all the answers. But it doesn't have to be that hard. Practically, there are numerous ways that you have already you've already participated in instructing the ignorant. A parent teaching their children the faith is participating in instructing the ignorant, because those children are beginning in the life of faith and need guidance, and they need help along the way to grow into full maturity. If you teach catechism, if you lead a Bible study, you are helping to instruct the ignorant. But even more so, the bigger challenge for us is to approach those who do not have a life of faith at all. To engage in conversation those who do not even know who Jesus is, or who simply know him as just someone that the Christians worship. But to introduce a coworker, a friend, a family member to Jesus, to instruct the ignorant in this way, is to offer to someone meaning and purpose in their lives, to help that person find their role in salvation, to give them meaning for their very existence. And so our challenge today is to know that if we help those to turn from their wicked ways and to turn to the Lord, we shall save ourselves. And just like it was to the prophet Ezekiel, it is to us. It's our responsibility to reach out to those. And so as we begin this week, and in September and fall, we begin a new school year often, and whatever else is new, perhaps this is a wonderful time for each one of us to really ask the Lord, who in our lives does he want us to instruct? Who in our lives does he want us to reach out to in love? Maybe it's someone who just needs more guidance and more help along the way. Or maybe it's someone that you know who doesn't know Jesus at all. And do not be afraid to reach out to them. Do not be afraid to ask the Lord to give you guidance, to help them and to lead them, because the Lord wants them in his care. And the Lord wants them to turn to him. And so know that even if things seem scary and you're not sure what to do, the Lord is with you, and the Lord wants exactly what you want, another person to know him. And so let us just pray this day, this week ahead, to have the grace to instruct the ignorant. Because as I said, so many people in our world today are looking for that meaning and purpose in their lives. And you can be the one who gives it to them and leads them to Christ.